Good meeting. This is a meeting of the Norwalk Harbor Management Commission on January 28th, 2026 at 6:02 p.m. Meeting's called to order. We'll have a pledge of allegiance. If we stand, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As you were. Roll call. Just when your name is called, just please say answer present or here. Matt Gifford, not present. Alan Kibbe, here. Jeff Mangles,
Here.
Chris McDonald,
Present.
John Pinto, sorry. Chris White, Don Remsen. I just saw Don. I know Don's here. And John Wilkins.
Present.
I just would like to just take a second to just introduce John as our newest commissioner. He's a dock master at Cove Marina, and we're just glad to have. I'm very glad to have a representative from the commercial marina industry in Norwalk. So welcome aboard, John.
Thank you, Alan. Looking forward to working with all you guys.
Welcome aboard.
The next item is public participation. Amelia, do we have anybody in line?
So if anyone who's joined as an attendee would like to speak, please use the raise your hand feature at the bottom of your screen. I have not gotten any written comments since your last meeting. And make sure if you're speaking tonight that you say your name, address, and the agenda item that you will be speaking about. And please try to keep it to about 3 minutes. All right.
My name is Linnell Jones. My address is 10 Point Road. Tonight, my comments concern your minutes from December 10th, 2025. It's my recollection from listening to the meeting that the vessel that sunk, which required assistance, was not from the Norwalk Boat Club, but the Norwalk Yacht Club. The Norwalk Yacht Club, which controls the majority of the moorings in Wilson Cove for its private membership, most of which are not Norwalk residents, is one of 2 private waterfront clubs on Wilson Point. This raises the question why the private Wilson Point Beach Club, which has 2 waterfront locations, a deepwater dock, and multiple Wilson Cove moorings, is not listed in the harbor management plan with other private, semi-private, and public waterfront clubs. The Wilson Point Beach Club is a limited membership-only club. It should be in the harbor management plan and assessed for taxes like other waterfront clubs. Minutes, multiple times, thank Lori Jones for her contributions to the Harbor Commission. There was no report under plans and recommendations where Lori previously reported she was working on rewriting the harbor management plan, so maybe she did complete the rewrite and included the Wilson Point Beach Club in it. As an ex-president of the Beach Club, the Wilson Point Beach Club, and current president of the Wilson Point Property Association, Lori is aware these are 2 separate entities, not available to Norwalk residents unless they qualify and are accepted as members. Thank you for correcting minutes and your attention to keeping the harbor management plan list of clubs accurate. Thank you.
Thank you, Linnell. Any other commenters?
Looks like we have one more hand raised.
Hi, my name is Christina Fluckiger from Coastline Consulting. I just wanted to confirm that the Norwalk Boat Club was on the agenda. It doesn't look like it is from what was posted.
No, if it's not on the agenda online, it is not going to be discussed tonight. But please, things are only added to the agenda if they're emailed to me more than a week in advance. So if you did email me, please let me know so I can make sure my email is working properly. If not, send me your materials and we'll get you on the next agenda.
Okay, I received an email on December 19th to be at this meeting.
From me?
From John Pinto.
Please, if you just forward me that email, I'll get you on the next agenda with all the materials.
Okay, so it won't be discussed tonight.
No, unfortunately, we can't change the agenda with less than 24 hours notice.
Okay.
And that appears to be it for public comment tonight, Alan.
Where am I off? I've got some maybe sticky internet. I'd like the minutes to reflect that Matt Gifford joined the meeting at 6:06 p.m. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Yes. So we have no
Okay.
more public participation, no more hands are raised, so we can move on if you'd like.
Very, very, very good. Next item is public acceptance of minutes from December 10th, 2025. Which have been distributed to all of us. Are there any comments? Everyone is satisfied with the minutes from December 10, 2025? Could I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion.
Don? Second?
I'll second the
Someone
motion.
second.
I'll second
Chris?
the motion. Jeff
All in
Mangles.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Just, I wasn't a part of it, so I'm just gonna abstain.
Correct. All right, the minutes are accepted. With one abstention. Moving right along, next item on our agenda is presentation on the shoreline restoration pilot project. So I turn it over to whomever is presenting. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us. I appreciate it. So my name is Grace Pacelli. I'm from the Maritime Aquarium, and I'm here with Dr. Sarah Crosby, who's also from the Maritime Aquarium. And we are basically presenting our pilot project, which we are hoping to do in Norwalk Harbor. I actually have a couple slides prepared just for visual aid. So I just wanted to check, is it appropriate for me to share those so we can go through it together? All right, sounds good. Okay, so hopefully everybody can see those. And also, hopefully the commissioners should have received a one-page narrative, just a little bit of an overview of this project, as well as our map that you're going to see later in the presentation. So we at the Maritime Aquarium are hoping to do a shoreline restoration pilot project, and we are leading it, but a key part of this project is that we are in heavy partnership with Norm Bloom from Cops Island Oysters. He's really giving us a lot of institutional knowledge and a lot of guidance in this, and also a lot of the supplies. So as an introduction, like I mentioned, I'm Grace Pacelli. I'm the Associate Project Manager at the Conservation Department at the Maritime Aquarium, and I'm here with my supervisor, Dr. Sarah Crosby, the Vice President of Conservation. And we're very happy to be here, so thank you for having us. The objective of this project is, in general, to establish a small nursery for young oysters at Veterans Memorial Park. And it's a unique project in that we're going to use shellfish aquaculture techniques rather than other conservation restoration efforts that have typically used a set it and forget it kind of thing. And we are going to heavily involve local students in the project to learn about oyster aquaculture and ecology. We're going to bring them out to learn how to rake the beds and drop shell and all that sort of fun stuff. As scientists, we're going to collect data, which is going to quantify the impact of that shoreline habitat and oyster growth and survival. We're also going to measure all of those. And the overall thing that we're hoping to assess is whether oyster beds can be used as a tool to bolster shoreline protection and environmental health in advance of the city's hopeful restoration of Vets Park. So I'm sure, as you guys know, Vets Park has a heavily eroded shoreline and it needs all the help it can get. So we had figured that this would be a great project to return or hope to return oysters to the historical range in Norwalk Harbor, use aquaculture techniques, and also maybe help out the Vets Park shoreline in the process. So as you can see on the right, our general research question is, does shoreline habitat have an impact on oyster growth? And does oyster growth have an impact on shoreline habitat? So where we're hoping to work our project is off the coast of Vets Park, and it's all going to be accessible by foot. So we're going to have students that are going to be able to just walk out there in hip waders. We're also going to be working off of Long Beach. So we're going to be working directly near shore off of Long Beach, and then after a year's worth of growth of oysters in these shallow bed areas, we're going to move them deeper in the waters off of Long Beach. And then we're also going to have a small proposed project area off of the Coast Guard lighthouse off of Calf Pasture. And that'll be a secondary site for our control variable or control area. And Long Beach and the Coast Guard area are places that don't have extreme erosion, and we can compare our Vets Park data to that. So the potential process that we're hoping to go through this year is in late spring, so somewhere around April, we'll start with small oyster beds. We're going to establish them south of Vets Park, just near shore, at Long Beach, that Coast Guard area, which I showed you on the map. And we're going to use Seed and Shell from Cops Island. So we're going to be using their boat. We're going to be using their materials. And obviously, we're going to be using the wealth of knowledge from Norm on how to do this. We're going to collect data on shoreline erosion, environmental characteristics, water quality, and oyster condition, the beds that we make. In the fall, somewhere around October, we're going to take those planted oysters, and with students, we're going to hand rake those. And then we're going to transplant those to that deeper water area that I showed you just off of Long Beach. And we'll do that before any ice risk. We'll take out those oysters, and also before any consumption risk, to make sure that no folks are going out and taking those oysters that'll make them sick. And finally, as those oysters mature in that deeper area off of Long Beach, we're hoping that they'll mature into spawners, and those will support the surrounding natural beds, overall increasing and supporting the population of natural oysters in Norwalk Harbor. So a big part of this project is the student engagement that we are bringing into every step that we can. And we've identified a couple classes from Brian McMahon High School where they have a Marine Science Academy, which is a really great program. It's a 4-year program where students take specific marine science classes, and they're engaged with local businesses and local scientists, and we work heavily with them. So this project will integrate really well, and we'll welcome some of those high school students into that aquaculture technique, so Norm can share all he knows, and we can share some of our scientific knowledge as well. But we've reached out to see if we're a good fit for that academy, and we've gotten very enthusiastic responses from teachers, and we're continuing that conversation to see how exactly we can schedule those students in. So the next step that we have is we're going to incorporate feedback from you guys to see if there's any questions or concerns that you have about this project. And we're happy to take those. We're happy to adjust. We're going to continue communication with the Connecticut Department of Agriculture, the Bureau of Aquaculture we've been communicating with, and getting all of our paper in order, and also kind of sharing some of our oysters with them to make sure that they're testing for any diseases or any risk or anything. And then next week, we're going to meet with the Shellfish Commission, and we're going to, again, present our project, see any questions and concerns, take in their feedback for any edits. We're going to continue to try to recruit students for the project, nail down those scheduling dates, like I mentioned, and hopefully begin work in April, so raking those beds off of Vets Park. So we're moving along, and we're hoping to get those things going. So thank you. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to take any questions. And you can contact me at any time via my email or phone.
Hey, Grace, it's Matt Gifford. We had a great conversation with Norm a couple of weeks ago. But 2 questions that I wanted to just kind of go through. I know you said that there was going to be some boat and some shore. So if you can kind of go through what your expectation is at different phases of access, and then also, is there going to be some signage or something to demarcate so that if there's any recreational oyster folks, they're not going into your beds and interrupting some of the research or any of that kind of stuff. So those two questions.
That's a really great question. So in terms of using boat versus foot traffic, we are going to service the oyster beds by boat. So if we're dropping off any dry shell, we're going to access those areas by boat. And those areas like Long Beach, we're going to access by boat and get there. But we're going to be using Norm's by boat, as he calls it. So it's like maybe 30 feet long, just like an outboard motor. But general visits, monthly visits to our sites is going to be by foot. So we're going to only be using a boat about 3 times a year for each project. And we're going to bring the dry shell and we're going to bring the oysters by boat to each bed. And then your question about signage. So that's a great question. We are also going to be putting signage up. We've used it for other experiments, just showing people what we're doing, providing information and letting them know to please not access our area. So yeah, we can definitely put that up.
Grace,
Right,
let me
great.
just let me add to that quickly. The question about the recreational beds. So all of this work is happening in sort of restricted harvest areas of the harbor. So no one should be shellfishing in these areas anyway. So there shouldn't be a risk of sort of recreational shellfishing or commercial shellfishing sort of happening at the locations that we've chosen. And that's part of the reason why we selected these areas, so there wouldn't be a conflict with any other potential shellfishing activities. So there shouldn't be an issue. And I will just say that we haven't discussed signage with the city yet, and so we will obviously defer to Parks and Rec and Parks in terms of what signage they are comfortable with or not. Since this is all happening in like the low intertidal, and especially because there's not a lot of foot traffic in the mudflat south of Vets Park that would be interacting with this. It's not like a major concern that we have, but if the city wants us to deploy signage, we're of course happy to do that. I think there's a risk there that it actually draws more attention to the oysters versus keeping people away from them. So it's just something to consider, but we would defer to the city on what they want in terms of signage.
Yes, Sarah. If you can send me your handout, just appreciate it, and then we can set up a meeting and just talk about signage or whatever else. So we can just have a better understanding of what you guys need and what our needs are. So you just, I think if you send me the handout, and I can then prompt a meeting with you guys.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Hi, Sarah. Hi, Sarah. Bruce Lavallo, Harbor Master. I already had Parks and Rec put signs up at Vets Park about no oystering or
Yep.
no. So there's already signs posted
Yep.
around the ramps and the eastern side of Vets Park. So there is signage there.
Yeah, I've seen those. So yeah, if everyone here and the city feels like that sort of covers our bases on this, then that may well be sufficient. Whether, if the city wants signage specifically about the project, like from an educational lens, then we're happy to draft something for that. But yes, there is like permanent posted signage already addressing sort of don't shellfish here, et cetera.
Yeah, I think if we once we meet, we can determine that. We're also going through a whole signage project, so we want to make all our signs in our parks more modernized and more. Anyway, we have a whole sign plan and a whole sign family of colors and that kind of thing. So we, once we meet, we can know what you need and what our needs are. And if the signs are sufficient, then they'll be sufficient. If we don't think they are, then we'll ask you to maybe help us with our signage and kind of blend things in. But you're right. Sometimes it's better not to have any signage at all, and sometimes it is. So we can talk about that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with Robert. Sometimes people don't realize that oysters are there, and as soon as they realize oysters are there, then that may tempt them. But one of my questions that I have is going across the mud flats. And some of you could see at various tides that some vessels cross those mud flats in front of Vets Park over there. And is that going to cause an issue with with this project if they were to say run aground?
I don't think
They
we're expecting anything that's really significantly above the existing topography, right? Like we're not talking about like mounds of shell. We're talking about a very thin, sparse layer of shell. And so given that there's already uh some amount of shell present, I would say my expectation would be that there's no greater risk following this project than there already is if you were to run aground there in terms of scraping up the bottom of your boat. But that is purely my opinion. That's not something we've like modeled or done any field testing related to. But that's something we can explore if there are concerns about that.
Yeah, and I don't really care about the boat. I care more about the oysters. So,
Yeah,
uh,
I think that if a boat were to really go for it and run, I mean, like I've run aground in there, but like if a boat were to really go for it and run aground in there, yes, I could imagine some amount of sort of burial of some of the shell and
mhm.
potentially the juvenile oysters. Um, but I think that most folks who try to cross through there are hopefully doing so at a high enough tide that they're avoiding running aground. Yeah, if folks have any ideas for ways to get around that, but I think that might just be an unavoidable potential issue associated with just working, in the harbor in a place that's really high traffic. So it's recoverable if we did find that they got really smashed up, we could always move some around from a different area that wasn't struck or things like that, or work with Norm to get additional set shell to deploy. But this is really a pilot, so we kind of want to see what goes wrong so that if it works, great, we could maybe try it again in a following year. If it doesn't work, what didn't work and how can we learn from that? So I think if we find that everything's just getting smashed to pieces by boats, then that just might not be a good site for this kind of work in an ongoing way. But we're hopeful that it'll work.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Somebody will run aground, but they will only do it once.
Well, okay, I know some people.
Question. Thank you guys for coming. It sounds like a terrific project for the city and for the kids to get to work on it too, to get out of the classroom and their hands dirty and their feet wet. So it's very exciting. Glad to see you taking this on, and I hope there's a lot of get some good publicity and press out of it too for the about the harbor and the use of the harbor and all that goes on here. So thank you very much for coming tonight. I really appreciate learning about this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, and we appreciate it. And if you have any feedback following the meeting, feel free to reach out to Grace or myself, and we're excited to hopefully move this forward. So thank you all so much.
Terrific. Thank you. We're without a chair of our application review committee right now. So I asked Matt Gifford if he would, being a member of the application review committee, to take us through the applications tonight.
Unfortunately, Alan, I don't have the information on 3 of the 4.
Okay.
So probably would not be a good position right now.
A good one. I'm sorry, I missed the last part.
I wouldn't be in position to be able to lead the discussion on those.
Okay. So I would guess we would, unless somebody else is up to speed on these applications, I guess we would defer them to our next meeting. Is that correct, Amelia?
I mean, if you would like to, most of these, I believe, how many are there? 4 out of the 5 applications are referrals, which have a 35-day timeline. So depending on, and I can check the exact date that they're referred, But it's possible that that 35 referral day period may end and the Planning and Zoning Commission may act before you discuss it. But I mean, if any commissioners have questions, I know that there are for 4 of the 5 applications, there are people here who can provide a brief presentation and answer any questions that commissioners have based on the presentation and based on, the plans that they've had a chance to look at. So if you'd like to proceed, we can move forward, which I think would be great considering that a lot of people did take the time out of their night to come be here tonight.
Surely, we can go through them in order and have the applicants explain to us what's going on. Who do you have representatives from, Amelia?
So the only one that we don't have a representative from is the POCD amendment referral, just because that's my colleague Michelle, who staffs the Historical Commission, which meets at the exact same time as you guys. If any commissioners have had a chance to look at that and think that amendment is or is not consistent with the harbor management plan, I mean, if anyone's looked at it, you can still vote tonight. But if you don't feel comfortable voting, if not enough commissioners have looked at it, you don't have to take any action on that. I can ask Michelle when she's expecting the Planning and Zoning Commission to look at it and if it would be appropriate to have on the next meeting agenda.
Terrific.
But I probably won't get an answer from her just because she's in a meeting. So I guess it's up to you as commissioners if you would like to discuss that, if anyone's looked at it and wants to say anything, or if you would just prefer not to act on it tonight.
The POCD, what is your feeling, commissioners?
It didn't seem particularly pertinent to anything we do. It was only about the Arts Commission, right? Is that the one?
Yeah, it's the Arts and Culture Plan, which
Yeah.
I would agree. I think it would be fascinating if it did have any potential negative impact on the harbor, or that it was inconsistent with the harbor management plan. But any POCD amendment referrals or any POCD amendments do get referred to you guys as the commission.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, Chris. I thought it might have been a mistake that it was sent our way.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I would argue it's not super relevant, but it is a requirement.
Right. I read through that and I don't see anything wrong or how it's going to impact, the harbor. So is it consistent or not consistent with the plan? I don't think it really relates to it, but I would say then if you're asking for approval, then it is consistent with the plan. It's not doing anything that's not consistent with the plan.
It's not inconsistent with the plan.
It's not inconsistent with the plan. So
we love the devil. I'm glad somebody went to high school here, so it's good to know. So we can, if we agree that there's no negative impact, we can say it's consistent with the harbor plan. If we feel we're confident to do that. Kind of awkward here, isn't it?
Yeah, if anyone if any commissioners want to make that motion, that's fine. You do not have to act on it. It only presents somewhat of a problem if you find it inconsistent with the harbor management plan. The Planning and Zoning Commission needs a 2/3 vote to approve instead of a simple majority. So if you don't feel comfortable acting on the referral, you also don't have to.
Well, I make a motion that we pass it. It is, how did you say that, Chris? It is not consistent.
Not inconsistent.
Not inconsistent. So it is consistent with the plan, for what it's worth. Has no negative impact.
Is there a second to Jeff's motion?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Didn't see any. Motion passes.
All right, and then your next item is a coastal site plan review and special permit referral, and Attorney Suchi is here or either she is or someone from her team is here to give a quick overview. Oh, actually, might be an attendee. Hold on, let me promote to panelist, and then either Attorney Suchi or someone from that team can give a quick overview and presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Chair. May we proceed? Great, thank you. For the record, my name is Liz Suchy, and I'd like to wish everyone first a happy new year. It's a pleasure for us to be in front of you tonight. I'm a partner at Carmody Torrance Sandak and Hennessy, and I represent the owner of the property that is before you, Manresa Osprey LLC. And as you know, that is a 120-acre island that juts into Long Island Sound and the tidal waters south of Longshore Avenue. It is my privilege to be before you tonight to present one of many municipal reviews that will be required to transform Manresa Island into Manresa Wilds, a privately owned public park. As you know, this endeavor has come to the city thanks to the generosity and vision of Austin and Allison McCord. Manresa Wilds, once it's completed, will provide water-related access to Long Island Sound, the waterfront, along with educational offerings, water-dependent uses, and other recreational activities, and so much more. It is a long-term private effort to transform the Manresa Peninsula into a resilient ecological preserve with much public access to the waterfront. Before we begin, I'd just like to introduce a few people that you may hear from tonight, and we will try to keep our presentation to you brief, but we will answer any questions that you have. First, Chris Murphy, project manager, Doug Adams, Manresa Wilds project manager, Andrew White, a professional engineer with Ty and Bond, and Colleen Juarez, a landscape architect with Scape Landscape Architects. So why are we here before you tonight? Well, Manresa Osprey LLC, as I mentioned, owns the property, and the property is 120 acres south of Longshore Avenue. It proposes to develop this property into a public park, as many of you have read about in the past couple of months. The project is located at District 5, Block 86, lots 1 and 2, and the current zoning classification of it is CD1S. It used to be the old B resident zone, and the property is within the coastal area management zone in its entirety. Right now, there are some remnant structures from when it was a electric generating facility. Some of the tanks were removed in the spring, but there are structures that exist that at some point in the future will be repositioned and adaptively reused. But that is a secondary phase of the Manresa Wilds project. Before you tonight, there are referrals from the Planning and Zoning Commission, a special permit which relates to the importation of materials and the location of that, and also a coastal site plan review application in connection with some work and activities that are proposed near the tidal wetlands. These applications are necessary and required for the creation of what we are calling the North Forest. That is the first phase of the Manresa Wilds Park project, 28 acres on the northern portion of the property that will be developed into a 1.5 mile system of paved and unpaved loop trails with seating, hammocks, and other amenities, boardwalks, selective tree clearing, gathering educational spaces, a 44-space parking lot with restrooms. 3 pockets are proposed: the Echo Pocket, which is a meadow with wet and dry grasslands of space for bird watching and research. Gather, that's what it says, a gathering space for those who come to the park to sit and relax and enjoy. And then Learn, that is an outdoor classroom with picnic areas, benches, and views of Long Island Sound. Colleen and, excuse me, Andrew, Doug, and Chris will get into some of these in just a minute, so I'm just giving you an overview. Many of the North Forest components are consistent with and address the goals of the city's harbor management plan, such as providing opportunities for water-dependent activities, protection and enhancement of the environmental quality of the harbor and Long Island Sound, supporting waterfront park and beach areas to provide opportunities for public access to the harbor, properly managing and restoring natural coastal resources, carefully evaluating impacts on coastal resources and water access opportunities, with development proposals. And those are goals set in sections 4, 5, 8, and 10, and others of the master plan. In addition, we believe that the North Forest project and the Manresa Wilds project in general supports opportunities to stimulate growth through beneficial and water-dependent and water-enhanced development contiguous to the harbor. It suggests the redevelopment of underutilized properties on the waterfront, consistent with state, federal, and local regulations, where it is expected to result in significant and long-term beneficial impacts to the future character of the harbor and the waterfront, promotes public access, expands opportunities for water-based tourism, and is an effort to balance development activities with the need to protect coastal resources. Those are found in sections 5.1.3, 5.1.6, 5.2.3, and others in the Harbor Master Plan. So is that as a framework for why we are before you and what we plan to do with the North Forest, the 28 acres on the north side of the property? I'd like Chris Murphy to give you some commentary, some explanation of how we got to where we are, followed by Doug Adams, then Andrew White, and not last but certainly not least, Colleen Juarez. Here we go. So if any questions at any time, please feel to ask them. We will answer them as best we can. And we look forward to your comments and questions.
Great, thank you. Liz, we'll just change it up just a little. I'm going to go first.
Okay.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Douglas Adams. I'm here tonight as the Director of Entitlements for Manresa Island Corporation, working towards the creation of the Manresa Wilds Park. I have 25 years of experience developing and entitling all sorts of properties throughout Norwalk and North America. This is really such a unique project, and I'm really excited to work on it. Our mission at Manresa Wilds is to inspire engagement with the waterfront through public access, education, restoration, and research. Specifically, tonight we're here to discuss the first step in the approvals of the park, hopefully to come. The first phase is the 28-acre North Forest, and that's scheduled for public hearing at Planning and Zoning on February 4th. Fenced off for decades, this unique opportunity to reconnect the community to Long Island Sound. Pending local and state approvals, the North Forest could open as soon as spring of 2027. The North Forest sits on land shaped by decades of disposed coal ash that requires targeted remediation to make the area safe for people and wildlife. Ecological restoration is at the core of creating the North Forest and key to welcoming Norwalkers safely back to the site and ensuring its long-term resilience. I'm going to turn it over to Chris Murphy, the head of design and construction, who can speak about the site in more detail. Chris?
Great to meet you all, commissioners. Chris Murphy with Manresa Island Corp. About a decade and a half of mixed-use development on coastal waterfronts, including public park design and construction. So joined the team about 10 months ago, but helping kind of assemble and run the design process for this park. I'm going to jump to something that Doug touched on, which is a bit of the history of the creation of the site that we are here today to discuss. So the original landmass has clearly grown quite a bit from 1934 up to present day. And this is just a reminder of the original coal burning power plant, polluted material being pushed into and actually expanding the original landmass threefold to what it is today. So it's just a reminder of the ecological and remediation enhancements, as well as the sea level resiliency, mission that we're taking on with developing this site. Here's another view of the extent of the fill growth over time. And I'm going to jump to showing the phase one that we're here today to talk about, the North Forest and the limits of that. Before I jump into that, I've zoomed out to the master plan vision that's been created over the past couple years by Scape and the Manresa Island Corp team. This has gone through a year's worth of public engagement, and we are working with the team to get back out to the community in February, as Doug mentioned, to release an update to this master plan. But this is what was released to the community almost a year ago today. So we are going to be focusing in this application and on the subsequent slides on this North Forest portion made up of the entrance road, parking lot, trails, and clearing network. So much more passive recreational, but just to let the Harbor Commission know that we will be in future years coming forward with the later phases of the middle and southern program of the site, which includes a cedar swamp, some active and nature play areas, of a fairly large lawn for recreation, new beachfront recreated, and reestablishing the marina berth that exists today and is currently used by the DOT Walk Bridge project. So that's zooming out to the bigger, broader vision that we're going to come back to you all in the future. So excited to continue relationship there. Master plan vision broken up into the phase one North Forest highlighted in blue. So again, just the northern quarter of the site that we're here today about. And then phase two, we will be revisiting in the future. I'm going to zoom out to one of the permit plan sheets that was submitted to give everybody kind of a detailed engineered scaling of the existing site versus the new bounds of this phase one North Forest limits of work. So kind of the main components and activation and programming of this phase one is really focused around these three different clearings that are getting built into the existing forest. One, the larger one is focused on ecology and restoration. Number two is for gathering, slightly more active programming, envision picnic tables and gatherings, outdoor uses, and then a learn pocket for much more coastal focused educational opportunities, like a little classroom near the waterfront. Last slide is really just focused on the time bond civil engineering developments of the drainage and utility plan that help focus and define the stormwater and erosion control best management practices implemented into the site design. I'm going to pause there. I went through a lot. We have Colleen and Andrew with both Scape and Time Bond ready and available to answer specific questions from the commission on the intention and scope of this phase one design. But kind of just opening it back up to you all for any comments or feedback or questions.
Anyone have any questions for Chris or for Doug or for me? Just wanted to note at this point, there is the only activity that's really close to the tidal areas are the outdoor classroom on the right of the screen, but there's no structure proposed there. There's no building that's proposed. It's on grade activated space. And then on the left side of the screen, if Chris could zoom out again, the parking lot that is proposed, which is actually eastward of the existing driveway that serves access to the property from Longshore all the way to the back of the property where the existing buildings are. In this parking lot, there's a small structure that'll be a restroom. But at this phase, there are no large buildings. There's no construction proposed. There is importation of materials to create the grades that we need to create, but we're not suggesting or proposing any structures at this time other than that restroom and other than that educational area on the eastern side of the property.
Are you guys going to talk about the drainage? In which case I'll let you go and then ask questions, or should we just jump into that?
Whatever is your preference, we can have Andrew White walk through the civil engineering for drainage if you'd like to hear from him.
Yeah, go ahead and sure. Yeah, maybe that'll answer some of my questions.
Sure.
So
certainly. Good evening, members of the commission. For the record, my name is Andrew White. I'm a licensed professional engineer with Time Bond out of our Shelton, Connecticut office. And I have 19 years of experience doing land management projects. So as Chris had queued up and alluded to, we do have our North Forest project here in front of you, with the primary engagement on the civil engineering side being the establishment of the site roadway and the parking lot, and then the trail system. So specifically to the stormwater management of the site itself drains mostly to the west-hand side of the island towards the existing driveway. We have a series of best management practice low impact development strategies, including we have porous pavement within the driveway or the parking lot itself that drains to a rain garden that is discharged to the south. We have grass-lined swales for conveyance of water, as well as culverts that are letting water flow from existing low points just south of Longshore Avenue out to the coastal resources. And then we do have hydrodynamic separation at all of our outlets, as well for cleaning of particulates and any oils and greases that would be found there, so they can be pumped out and inspected and maintained by staff. That's the high level view of this. So we are not impacting neighboring properties to the north off of Longshore. Because of the impacted soils on site, we do have impermeable liners below these LID measures in our consultations with Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. So it is infeasible for us to infiltrate into the groundwater due to the impacted soils on site. So we do have increases in peak flows out to Long Island Sound, but due to the nature of the coastal resources, we are in compliance with the City of Norwalk's drainage manual for being directly abutting the sound. So that's the high level of the drainage.
Yeah.
Like any.
Yeah, I think you touched on what my concern was, and you threw out a couple 3-letter acronyms which I wasn't familiar with, but my concern was, and what hasn't, and these documents didn't really cover this. That what was my concern is things that were covered in the stewardship permit that's already been issued to you guys, where it's been identified what the result of years of fly ash being deposited on this site, which and the result is that there's a large plume of several elements under there: nickel, cadmium, I think, and arsenic. So there's monitoring wells placed around the site, and this is area of concern 1, I believe. And
Correct.
so just go over again exactly what you're doing to prevent any additional infiltration. And then talk about is there any aspect of your construction for this that's going to affect the water table?
And Commissioner Chris, if you don't mind, if I just step in for one moment, we do have a separate process directly with AKRF, which is our remediation and environmental consultant, who is not on this call, but we have been working with DEEP. Subsequent to the stewardship permit issuance, you are correct. We received that December 31st of 2025, so just almost a month ago. We've had multiple meetings with DEEP to go through the actual engineered controls component of the stewardship permit, which is how we plan. The stewardship permit just commits us to cleaning up the site.
Yes, and it lays out some of the parameters of what's there. So I just want to make sure that what you're proposing now is, is in accordance with the stewardship permit.
It is, sir, and it's even further defined and committed to in our engineering controls proposal and work plan that's currently with DEEP right now. So all the details for the capping and fencing and handling of this phase are in a separate DEEP process underneath the stewardship permit, and we will get compliance through that process of the handling. And because we are not affecting the coastal regions in this phase 1, we are not really, there's going to be later phasing of the rest of the site on the overall groundwater management mitigation plan. So it'll be in a subsequent engineering plan.
Okay. So what did you say about you said something about using something under the infiltration areas?
So we are using impermeable liners. Okay. Under there. So the benefit of bioretention in the infiltration is the removal of particulates from stormwater runoff. So we can still have the activation from those best management practices, but to prevent the groundwater from continuing, or the stormwater from going to the groundwater, we have a liner with an underdrain system. So it essentially will let the soils do their work to clean up the stormwater, and then the treated stormwater discharges out of our flared end sections on the side of our slopes that we've built up as a surface discharge.
Right. So your rain gardens collection and I think they were referred to as in infiltration, but they're not really infiltrating into the groundwater itself. They're just basically creating a filter bed isolated from the underlying water table. Is that the right way to say it?
That is correct.
Okay. That was my biggest concern.
And then the existing groundwater table is about 6, 7, 8 feet deep from the existing surface, and we're building up these surface improvements above the existing grade, Commissioner. So we will not be, getting into the groundwater table with this.
Right. And you're not disturbing any of the existing ground material everywhere. You're clearing, you're building up. Is that the correct?
Yeah, there will be some existing site prep before we build up and some geogrid stabilization for civil engineering stabilization processes, but most of the improvements are not breaking into the existing ground. And where we do, there's DEEP requirements and restrictions and handling of that process. It is allowed, but we're trying to avoid it.
Okay. Are you doing anything on the immediate shorefront? Like, I think some of that's it's a riprap on the east side, right? And
Yeah.
just
Very, very intentional, not breaking it. So we moved the new access road to the east, inboarded the existing road. These plans do not contemplate any modifications to the existing riprap shoreline. So we'll come back in a later phase to improve the actual edging condition.
Okay.
That was very intentional. We set up our limits of work to not really get into the shoreline improvement process just yet. It'll take us another year plus to design that resiliency and shoreline improvement process. So it'll take longer.
So will that the other part you're going through with deep now, will that pass us? The engineering controls?
I can find out. I think once the stewardship permit is issued, I think the engineering controls all fall within the Connecticut Deep's framework of allowable, like hardscape, containment, groundwatering, all that. I can find out and let you know.
Yeah.
I didn't see that in the process for engineering controls approval.
So is that still a high level process and not specific to any given work?
Oh, it is very specific. This is like taking details from this plan set and showing how the hardscape will keep the public safe from interacting with the existing coal ash.
Yeah.
It is down to pavement design level detail.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what, where our jurisdiction might be an overly sophisticated word for this, but yeah, where our purview is here. Because our how impacts to into the plumes under the site do have a big impact on the harbor if they're not managed correctly. So I know that's one thing that we've talked about internally before is trying to keep our focus on that. I mean, we don't want to overstep our bounds here, but that's certainly something that affects the harbor very directly if things are not handled.
Oh, and it is a huge concern and focus for us. So that is,
sure. I mean,
yeah,
yes.
no, I mean, yeah, we still have another 7-9 months of groundwater analysis and potential treatment methodology. So we got a lot of work ahead of us, but it's not contemplated with this phase. This is all superficial surface improvements and stormwater handling through the BMPs that Anjan walked through.
Okay.
I
agree that this doesn't look like it has any impact on the groundwater situation being. So I'm okay with this.
Commissioner McDonald, if I may just jump in for a minute, any applications that we have for the subsequent phases to the Planning and Zoning Commission, since the property is within the coastal zone, will be referred to you. So there are additional opportunities to have additional questions and information provided to some of the very questions you're raising tonight. This is not going to be the first and last time that you will be able to review, consider, and ask questions about what's happening on this property.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
And those engineered controls find themselves in those future permit applications. So it won't be, it'll all come through you. That is true.
That's right. So yeah, I mean, so I'm also a professional civil engineer, 40 years of experience. So as long as we're sharing CVs here.
We look forward to future meetings with you.
Thank you.
Liz, I just had one quick question. It's Matt Gifford. If they can just go through a little bit more detail on the education area over near the shoreline on the right side of that drawing.
Sure.
Just to kind of understand a little better.
Chris, would you like to handle that, or would you like to pass it off to Colleen?
I'm happy either way. I need to bring up the concept view of the North Forest. So let me. Colleen, if you want to speak to anything, okay. Yeah, I've got, you guys see my screen, the internet browser?
Not yet.
It's still showing the engineered plan.
Yeah, not yet.
Coming through.
There you go.
Okay, so this is on our website, focusing on the North Forest Phase 1 release. And I guess we kind of highlight the remediation process that we're embarking on. And then we dive into each of the 3 different pockets and kind of the focus of them. The largest of which is a 1-acre eco pocket, peaceful place to explore, pause, and observe. But you asked specifically about Learn. So Learn is 0.2-acre coastal classroom, offering outdoor educational space and breathtaking views out on the harbor. So it's really going to be kind of amphitheater type focused seating, with presentation location facing east, and then picnic table. So it's still a pretty light touch intervention, but it'll be a great place for us and the Manresa Wilds partners like the aquarium, Hui, local folks to come and give educational classroom type format gatherings.
And Commissioner, everything in this first phase is pedestrian only, so there'll be no vehicles or anything in the North Forest.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Anyone else have any questions or comments for us at this point? We're happy to answer them. As Chris indicated, we do have a public hearing on the underlying special permit and coastal site plan applications on Wednesday of next week. That will be the first time the Planning and Zoning Commission receives and undertakes its review and has public comment on those 2 applications and on the North Forest in general. But we are happy to share anything else with you. If there's information that you've asked for tonight, we'll certainly get it to you for your reference. But rest assured, we will be back before you with future phases, whether they be a small measure or large measure. Anything we file will come before this commission due to the location of the property within the boundary of the coastal area management zone. We'd hope that you would be able to be in a position this evening to make a recommendation to the Planning and Zoning Commission so that they have it in their file next week when they contemplate this project and the 2 applications that are pending. If that's possible, it would be greatly appreciated.
Chair of application review right now, and I asked one of our commissioners to do that. Chris McDonald, Chris, are you think we're in a position to say this is we have no objection to this?
Yeah, I have no objection to this moving forward with planning and zoning. So I'll make that motion. It is consistent with the harbor management plan.
I'll second that, Chris. I don't see any issue with this, especially with the more details on their website. It's pretty impressive.
It is impressive.
Yeah, I'll say it's impressive. So, motion's been made and seconded for a positive response. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Nay. Motion passes.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. Very much appreciate your time tonight, and we look forward to appearing before you again in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Liz. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You all.
Exciting project.
Thank you.
We think so. See you guys soon.
Yeah, exciting. Very exciting.
Going to keep you busy for a while.
It will. It will. Thank you.
Good night, all.
Good night. Next one is 48 Calf Pasture Beach Road.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I can.
Hi, Tim DeBartolomeo here with Sound Engineering Associates, representing Norwalk Cove Marina at 48 Calf Pasture Beach Road. We have an application before you, or before the Zoning Commission, to do a much needed bulkhead replacement project. This is a very simple replacement of an existing steel sheet pile bulkhead on the north end of Norwalk Cove Marina's boat basin. I have some, I can open up the drawings if you like and show you some photos. And if I can share my screen, I will do that right now.
This came before us before, correct? And you had some modifications?
I don't think so.
Mhm.
Not
Yeah,
that I'm aware
I
of.
know we talked about it. I think it
Yeah,
was over a year
we
ago.
did.
I
It
thought
was
we
a
approved it at
bulkhead.
that point.
There was some work on the south end of this site that's under a different application. That's being worked on by Mr. John Hiltz, and I recall actually being at that meeting, and this was I think that's the one you might be thinking of, because this is the first time we're in front of you for this.
So that was the area
Yard
where
right
the
along
dike is?
the road on the way
Yeah.
on the way toward the marina.
Yeah, let me just okay, here we go. All right. There we go. Okay, so I have the drawing here. This is the north end of the Marina Basin. Calf Pasture Beach Beach Road is right on the right-hand side here, and there's an existing steel sheet pile wall here that continues for several hundred feet along this north end of the basin. The westernmost 158 feet is the original steel sheet pile wall. It's a different, you can see that it's a different vintage than the rest of the wall. This was the first section of wall that was put in many years ago. It is starting to have local collapse areas, and it has many holes through it, and it is leaking material into the basin. Okay, so the job is fairly simple. We're going to come in here. This is the work area, access from the road. This will be demarked as the work zone. The area immediately behind the wall will be excavated to a safe, stable slope, and then the new sheets will be installed. Well, the existing sheets will be extracted, new sheets will be installed, anchor system will be in place. At the same time, they're going to be doing some upgrades. The upgrades include redoing the electrical service to the docks out here, which involves installing a new transformer. So there'll be a new transformer pad above the base flood elevation and new underground electrical service that will serve this marina. So we also have on another drawing, which I'll bring up, is a boardwalk area. In the same area to enhance this access a little bit easier. So this will be here a bonded aggregate walkway. All right, so nothing elevated or anything like that. And by the way, the existing wall is being installed to the same top of wall elevation, so we're not making the wall any higher, we're not making the grade any higher, we're just maintaining what's there. And this is going to be helpful for boaters for access up and down this marina. And ideally, when the rest of this end gets developed in the future, they will extend that walkway as well. But right now, we're looking at this 158 feet of wall to be replaced. Just to go through a few photos, some select photos. I'll just run through them pretty quickly, and I'll ask if you have any questions. So let's see, make sure I can do this properly. I think I can. Are these photos up all right?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh, we see your drawing.
We
We
still
don't
see
see
the
the
drawing.
photos.
Okay, all right, stand by. I gotta probably stop sharing and reshare. There we go. Okay. All right, so let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. All right, can we see these photos?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So this is existing conditions, obviously. And I'm just gonna we're gonna walk down a little bit and just look at the conditions on the site. You can see here we're losing material quite significantly in this area here. And this is really what is creating the need to do this. It's in rough shape. This is looking back at Calf Pasture Beach Road. Again, turning around, going to the west. Here's another local eroded area. And this, you can see this is quite, falling over quite significantly now. So the new wall is going to straighten this back out and put the existing sheet pile back in its, put the new sheet pile into the previously, previous alignment of what was there originally. So that'll make this shoreline restored back to what it was when it was initially constructed. Okay, so that's really the project. Not much more to explain. So if anybody has any questions, I can answer them.
So what's the plan for sedimentation control during construction? So when you pull out the old piles?
Yep, that's a great question. We're going to run a turbidity curtain along the entire length of this area. So that's what we show on our drawings, and I'll bring that back up. So we have that on our drawing. So we're showing a turbidity curtain right here, running the entire length. Okay, so that we should be covered in that regard, and we have silt fence around the rest of the area.
And one of your drawings shows that you're going to be digging down just 2 feet 6 inches. Is that right? Or is there going to be a deeper on the inbound side? Yeah, that's the drawing right there.
Okay, so this is the anchor wall. This is the anchor system. So we have an internal strong back behind the wall, and that goes to a dead man anchor system. So those are fairly shallow. That's this system here. There's a tie rod and a precast concrete anchor that gets dropped in the ground, and that's fairly close to the surface. So there'll be, this will be excavated to accommodate a stable slope, but then that'll go back probably 10 to 12 feet. But this anchor is closer to 15 to 18 feet back, and so they'll trench this out and excavate an area here, put this in, compact the backfill around here, and then when the sheet piles are in and all this hardware is all installed, then they'll backfill and compact it.
I mean, to Matt's question though, that the cross section doesn't show you going very deep at the face of the sheet pile.
I mean, it looks maybe 5 feet at most.
Well, we're not showing, for purposes of what we were. For purposes of this drawing was initially part of the Connecticut DEP application, and we did not extend that to show where that dead man is, which would be, somewhere back here, for example. Okay.
I guess my question is more on the vertical, not the horizontal excavation.
Correct.
So how deep are you going at the face of the wall? Are you going all the way down to the mud line
Well,
and then tapering back at 2-to-1 or something?
yeah, that's exactly what we'll be doing. We'll be coming back like this to a stable slope, and then we'll have the turbidity curtain, out here. Okay. So yeah, because ideally we want to get, so if you see here, face of existing and proposed. So we go back to outlining where the existing sheet piles were. The DEP was pretty adamant saying, well, if you're taking the old wall out, you're either going to put the new wall at the existing face or behind it. And, behind it wasn't really practical for several reasons. So putting it right at the face requires that these sheets come out completely. So if the existing sheets are coming out completely, we really have to excavate down to the bottom here. So we're going to have material that is stockpiled and protected from, with hay bales around it and that kind of stuff.
That was kind of the nature of my question, is that what is, holding that, gravity fed material from, if you're going to be taking out, it looks like 11, plus or minus 11 feet. Is that correct?
Yeah, in that order. Sure. Yep.
So you got to slope that back like 20 feet.
It's, in reality, that material can hold up pretty well, especially if they put some crushed stone over it. So, when the tide comes in and out, then that can remain stable. So ideally it's, it will be up to the contractor to see how much this material can what kind of slope this will stay at.
I guess part of that question is there's the outflow of the pond. So there's a decent amount of flow going, I guess, east and west, right off of that. That's the only concern I'd have.
Okay, let me see if I can address this. Bear with me 1 second. See if I could bring a bigger site plan up. So yeah, this pond, as far as I'm aware, flows with the tides. Right? So as far as velocities go in here, I'm not aware of that there's any real velocity that is passing through wherever those culverts are. I don't even see them in this view. But I'm not anticipating that's a problem here. That would I agree with you, that would potentially create something to deal with if there were such velocities that would have a tendency to pull material, but I don't see that as an issue here. I don't think the velocities are anywhere near such that it would impact this work. Again, as well as the turbidity curtain being in place is going to act as a decent buffer. Don't forget, and then the other part to this is they're not going to be doing all of this excavation at once. They're going to be doing it in shorter sections. So in the order of 50 to 100, about 50 feet at a time, so that they can install, and because they've only got so much space to work in, and so they'll be working in shorter areas at any given point.
Let
So
me,
that'll,
let me help you out, Tim. Go to one of the other Google Earth dates for that. I was
yeah, okay,
and
sure.
in some of them you can actually see the flow and where the outlet is. There, zoom in.
That one.
Yeah, and then also you can see that little plume coming out.
It's
of the
about a
wall
third
there.
of the way off that dock.
It's this right. It's right here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
this is not going to impact anything. This is nothing for us to be concerned about. So I'm not concerned about this at all for what we expose over here. It's a distance away. If I could move this darn.
Tim, is there any drainage anticipated through the bulkhead from the
No.
storage yard there?
No, not at all. Okay, there's over 150 feet away. It's 160 feet away from the wall. So we've got plenty of distance away from this wall for that. There's no drainage associated with this. The wall is designed to carry some hydrostatic head, the lag that is normal with the tidally influenced groundwater. There's no change to the grade, so the existing stormwater conditions have how they have been are as they are going to exist. Any further questions?
Yeah, and what is our action to take on this, please?
So this is going in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Yeah, so P&Z is looking for the Harbor Management Commission's opinion on whether or not this is consistent with the Harbor Management Plan.
This has already received a certificate of permission from the Connecticut DEP. You know, to that end, I believe you have seen this. I might not have been at the meeting. Now that you mention it.
I don't believe we have.
Yeah, I think this was under review, but there wasn't any specifics on it, and there was discussion about how it was going to be married into the
I believe
PATH
I missed.
project.
I believe I missed the meeting. I believe I was unaware of the meeting, and you folks gave us that it was consistent with for the the consultation form that you needed to sign.
Chris and Matt, what's your recommendation on this?
I would approve this based on being consistent. I would just be very concerned about any potential erosion or issues with such a large area that specifically I'm sure you're going to have to do most of this during the boating season with with the traffic going in and out of those areas.
No, they're planning on doing this in February, March.
Oh, okay. Well, that's even better. So that's just another, concern with a decent amount of boats that are going in and out of that area. And, are the shell fishermen going to be using that space during that time, or are they going to be moved out?
No, the place is not being used right now, and it's for primarily boat storage, whatever's going to be moved out of there already. I believe they've already got the steel on order, and they're going to, they're ready to go.
I mean, with those things in place, I would say is consistent with the harbor management plan, and just use our standard language to describe any of the construction concerns that we have.
I'll second that if that's a motion there.
Correct.
Which is on the floor to find this consistent with the harbor management plan is
Tim, would you mind stopping sharing just so we can see all the commissioners?
Yeah.
And if there's any commissioners who need to recuse themselves from this application, now would be a good time to do so.
Yeah, I recuse.
Thank you.
Oh, motion to the floor been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So motion passes with one abstention. Thank you very much, Tim.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
You too. Thank you.
We're coming up at 7:30. Does anyone want to take a break for 5 minutes?
Sure.
All right, we'll keep going. 108 Water Street is next, right?
Good evening.
Hey there, Adam.
Are you ready for me?
Let's take it away.
All right, sure. So good evening, Adam Blank of Wofsy Rosen, counsel for Spinnaker Acquisitions regarding 108 Water, which is a joint venture between Spinnaker and the current and longtime owners of the property, the Gersten families. Let me just share my screen here. So the site, you've seen this within the last year or so. I'm going to give you a quick overview of the project and what's changed since you last saw it. And then you'll hear from a few other people on the team. And then I'll finally sum up with just some points related specific to the harbor management plan. I'll try not to take up too much of your time tonight. I know it's getting a little late. In any event, about 6 months ago, this was in front of you. It was at that point in time, it was a mixed use development. The mixed use project consisted of boat slips, a boardwalk, office space, personal service establishments at the street level, apartments, a restaurant, and a new water dependent use, in addition to the boat slips up at the waterfront, along with over an acre of the site dedicated to public realm and public space. We were in front of you twice on that application, and I say you, I know that your membership has changed slightly, so not all of you have maybe seen this before. That's why we're going to try to go over it, but briefly today. So we were in front of you twice. We're going to ask that those prior meetings and application and deliberations be made a part of this record. You found at the time that development was consistent with the harbor management plan. After your finding that it was consistent with the harbor management plan, Planning and Zoning found the application consistent with their regulations and approved that application. We're not abandoning that approval. It remains sort of valid. We're going to call that the existing zoning approval. But we want some flexibility to utilize a portion of the approved office space as a hotel. You'll hear from the architect, but there's no real meaningful substantive changes proposed to the exterior or any of the approved structure. Really all that we're looking to do is to change the interior use of what you've already said is consistent with the harbor management plan from office to hotel. So the approved, these are the different uses proposed for the site, looking from the water side. This structure, looking basically exactly as it does now, is approved as office. We literally want to stamp the word hotel on it and change the inside use to hotel instead of office. Why are we trying to do that? Well, we've had some time to talk to brokers and lenders. We do think that there's a real need and a market for office space on the water that's highly amenitized. We had something like 100,000 square foot of gross office space, which was technically it was 83,000 of, I think, of net, but that was going to be decided that might be challenging to lease that up in a commercially reasonable period of time. Additionally, there's a fair amount of vacancy risk on office that is not so true on hotel. And in talking with our lenders, it's going to be much more easily to finance this project as hotel with a hotel portion and then a modest portion of office as opposed to that 83,000 square feet of office. So we'd like to get an approval for hotel. Again, I said we're not abandoning the existing office approval because if we get the approval for the hotel and between now and the time shovels go in the ground, we find an end user that wants a substantial amount of office space, we would be more than happy to continue to use the office approval. Anyway, but because we're on the water, we're in front of you, even though it's just a change of use rather than any real change to the site development. And again, the hotel demand we think is also increased. There was a hotel approved for development in Sono that was recently overturned by the courts, so that project won't go forward. and there's obviously a need for a hotel here in South Norwalk. I am going to talk about consistency with the harbor management plan at the very end, but at this point, I would like to just jump to Seelan Pather from Byingfield Architecture, who's the project architect. And just to give you a heads up, I think Vince Hines from Redness and Mead and either Matt Schuler or Azure D from Race will also give you just very brief presentations and be able to answer any specific questions you have. With that, Seelan. Oh, we can't hear you, Seelan.
Nothing yet.
And Seelan, if you are able to get it worked out quickly, great. If not, and you want to let go out of order and let Vince hit before you, then just unshare your screen and we'll let Vince go. Sorry, Vince.
Well, good. Good evening, everybody. For the record, my name is Vincent Hines, a licensed engineer with Redness and Mead, having offices in Stanford and Wilton. We've provided the site engineering and surveying services for the development here. Like Adam indicated, we were before the commission last year now. And for the site here at 108, it's about 2.7 acres as measured in mean high water on the western shorefront of developed shorefront of the harbor, adjacent to the intersection of Hanford Place and Water Street. Site currently developed with a mix of single-story buildings, at-grade parking, both paved and compacted gravel surfaces. No notable green area kind of exists on the site. As you can kind of tell by this coverage exhibit that I have on the screen. Site stormwater generally sheet flows either to the city right of way or directly over the eastern side of the site and into the harbor. Worth noting that the area that discharges to the city right of way is then picked up in a large pipe that eventually discharges to the harbor via drainage easement at 130 Water Street. So I just say that to note that everything's tributary to the harbor. If you've been to the site or surrounding area, and I'm sure Matt can speak to this as well, existing shoreline is developed and contains a mix of dilapidated timber and concrete structures, miscellaneous piles and debris from former bulkheads. So that shorefront is in its existing condition is certainly susceptible to impact during flooding events for erosion into the water. For the proposed plan here, we have the building and a series of walkways that connect out to the harbor, including walkways on the north and south sides of the site, which will be open to the public for public access to the harbor. As Adam indicated, we're a little bit over an acre of total public kind of open space. And those walks will be permeable in nature, just as one of our means of stormwater management for the to meet the DPW drainage manual requirements. In total, the site coverage is actually impervious coverage is actually reduced as we're introducing, landscape zones, which can be seen in this viewport here with the green color. And then we're further, again, Matt from Race can speak to it, but they, reconstruction of a bulkhead and public kind of boardwalk access on the water side of the site. And then we got, just to speak on stormwater management a little bit further, like I said, the north and south walkways will both be permeable with crushed stone reservoirs beneath them to provide water quality benefit there. But we also do have 2 underground infiltration systems proposed, one here on the east side of the site beneath the meandering public walk, and then one beneath the garage lower level. Those are sized to provide water quality for the entirety of the roof here, before being piped out either into the city system or to the harbor. I think with that, unless Adam wants me to point something else out, I open for any questions.
If there's not questions for Vince, I think Seelan, if he's been promoted as a panelist, I think that was the issue before. But maybe Amelia, maybe he's promoted now and he can
He was a panelist before. I don't see his name in the attendee column. It looks like he's still on as a panelist right now.
Seelan, if you're having trouble with if it won't connect, if you really want, we'll let you share your screen. Or you want to call me and I'll put you on speaker and then they can hear you through my phone.
You can also try rejoining or join as an attendee and I can promote you to panelist.
I can add a blank on the screen. Is that
Seelan?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you guys hear Seelan?
Yes.
And you can see my screen, right, Adam?
Yes.
All right. Well, I apologize for that. I'm not sure exactly why that's the case, but my presentation is quick anyway. Mostly because the building is largely unchanged. Adam describes mostly a change of use. A few things happened after we left you and went to P&Z and then had conditions of approval. One of them was to work with the fire marshal to make sure that we had the proper clearances on the drives on either side and make sure we had the proper clearances underneath the building. So these 2 ingresses and egresses for vehicles got slightly wider, I think by about 3 or 4 foot each. The planning of the building, though, is unchanged. So you still come in low in these 2 lobbies, here and here. And all this parking is at a lower level below the entire building up above. Sorry, I just point out that this is the build-up, but the loop around is essentially even, a walking surface even, largely even with Water Street. So if you were walking on Water Street, you'd walk on fairly even land on this pathway along here, around the boardwalk and back out. You wouldn't have to go into the development if you didn't want to. Here's the next floor up, and there's a grand stair that takes you above that parking level that you saw. There's retail facing the street, another parking level up here that's above the one below. That's access from this internal loop. Again, some changes for the fire marshal. All of this is flush curbing now so that his fire truck can mount any of these spaces. We rounded his corners here so that he has a clear path to get around and turn. And then we also spoke to Snew and has some better idea of where the electrical rooms and so on are, and that's a change from the last time you saw it. This office building is shifted slightly page north here by about 2 feet, I think. That's the only change there. And we're working out that structure so that frame is changing slightly, but again, largely unchanged. And then this used to be called office lobby and now is hotel lobby. That's the change here. The restaurant and water dependent use and all of this remains as designed and as you saw before. And then once you get up into the upper floors, you can see we're working now. We're trying to flesh out the design, the mechanical systems, and so on. So you see some unit plans. We hadn't seen them before. And where you saw all of this as yellow before as office, it's now got hotel rooms populated in it. We tried to make the hotel rooms work in an office shape that we had, but we did not change the shell of the building on the outside in terms of architecture. And then it just keeps going further up, and it's the same building. But we have, if you look at this image the way it was before that we showed you, it's largely unchanged. It looks like this still. That's all I have, Adam. If you let me get into any other details.
No, I think maybe are there any questions for Seelan or anybody need more detail?
So how many hotel rooms will there be, actually?
Adam, do you have that number?
Let me try to pull it. Give me one. I'm pulling it up. Yeah, 130. Yeah.
130 hotel rooms.
Yeah.
How does the architectural standards, what are the recommendations for parking for hotels versus office space?
Less. Office is a higher traffic and parking generating use.
What is the?
What's that?
I just had a question. It's John Wilkins. What is your overall plan for the water dependent use portion of it? I know in past meetings you guys have mentioned kayak rentals and maybe some other, ideas like that. But is there anything more concrete that you've came across now?
Yeah. Seelan, maybe if you stop sharing for a second, and Henry, can we get Amelia, can you promote Henry Conroy from Ownership as a panelist, and Henry can speak to this? I know he's ready to go.
Sure. I don't see his name as an attendee, so Henry, if you could just raise your hand so I know who to promote. All right, he's been promoted. He should be joining in a second.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. Hey everyone, Henry Conroy, representing the ownership and Spinnaker Real Estate Partners. Still in the same condition in that we have not executed an agreement with anybody on the space. Still have the same open conversations with a lot of different groups. You mentioned kayak rental. It would be the case that we don't enter into a final agreement until we have financing in place and start the construction of the project, and ultimately end up being a lot closer to actually delivering it, because we're still talking about from today. Won't start construction probably sometime into the summer, and then it's anywhere from 20 months to 24 months before the space is ready. So just want to kind of caveat with that condition. But one of the really interesting conversations that I've been having frequently is with your prior applicant, which is the Manresa Island Group, about potentially using that as a kind of a launch off point as they're starting their figuring out how to bring people back and forth from the island. That was a conversation I've had prior to our first application, another one that we had recently, that potentially, it's not worked out yet, they could put a ferry or something in one of these dock slips and then can kind of meet people and ferry them out from South Norwalk to avoid some of the traffic that would be going out to Manresa Island, which I think is a concern of some of the neighbors there. But besides that, the same groups that we were talking to we are still in conversation with, and as we get closer, we're going to further elaborate on those agreements and hopefully come with a great tenant that can be a benefit to the community.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions, or do you want to hear from Race? Matt?
Hi, good evening, everybody. Let me just share my screen here. All right. Should obviously see my screen now. As Adam said, you guys have seen this a few times, so I'm going to go over this with cursory review. As Vince stated, there's a variety of dilapidated timber and concrete structures along the waterfront of this property. You can see this kind of gravel ramp area down to where the barge is berthed here. We'll get into that with our site plan and sections. Here just further showing the deteriorated structures along the waterfront of the property. And then getting into our plans here. These are the plans that the commission had seen back in November, I believe. And this is what was submitted or will be submitted to the state for the waterfront aspect of this application. So this is kind of showing the existing site with some deteriorated structures along the waterfront as discussed. And here's that development plan you guys have seen a number of times now with a 14-slip marina, a new steel sheet pile bulkhead along the waterfront, a 10-foot wide access boardwalk along the waterfront of the property, and then these stairs down to the waterfront. And then showing an elevation view, again, further reiterating those deteriorated structures along the waterfront, and then ripping those structures out and actually installing a bulkhead landward of the existing structures and putting in that 10-foot boardwalk. And then here's that grand staircase down to the water in that kind of gravel ramp area that I'd mentioned previously. This is kind of going to meet the existing grades coming down with a lower bulkhead to allow some water inundation and get the public to interact with the water. And then finally, here's sort of another typical section down at the southern side of the property, showing those existing structures getting removed, new bulkhead in, and the 10-foot wide timber boardwalk. As far as our aspect or our portion of this project, we were in front of the Harbor Management Commission to just jog your memories. No objection was made to the application, and you guys gave us the okay to go ahead and submit to the state. So unless you guys have any questions, I'll turn it back over to Adam.
Just one quick question. Was the staircase area that goes down, is there a dock right in front of it? I can't remember from the drawing.
Yes, this main dock continues across the waterfront of the property, obviously with some offsets from the neighboring properties. And here's that section showing those staircases down with the dock right there. We had mentioned previously in the Harbor Management Commission meeting where we had gotten the no objection. A guardrail needs to get installed here for the unprotected drop and not to allow the public to actually step off the bulkhead and onto the dock. So that'll still be the plan moving forward.
But that wouldn't be an area where they're like launching kayaks or
no.
Obviously,
it'd be obstructed by the dock. So
yeah,
this is just for public interaction with the water.
Place to take your lunch.
Exactly. Yep.
Yep.
All right, and just I think Matt and his team have been in front of you in addition to sort of the referral for consistency with Harbor Management, at least once on a pre-submission and maybe in front of Shellfish as well, and received favorable or standard kind of comments back. Is that correct, Matt?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
John has his hand raised.
Yeah, just a question. I know we said we approved it, but didn't we also approve it under the DEP issues that stated with the flooding issues that were taking place?
just to rejog your memory, these are the comments, recommendations that were made when we reviewed this for the state application. I don't know if you want me to go through these line by line, or if this is sufficient for you.
We had something stated when we approved it originally, right?
Yes, that was the extra, the new drainage culvert going out to the into the harbor, just to the south of this project.
Backflow preventer.
Yeah.
We
Backflow
agreed it.
preventer.
And this was
Yeah.
also the case. It was an agreement later on with planning and zoning through DPW that as a part of our application, we would pay for the installation of a backflow preventer on a property. I'm forgetting the address right now, but where the Marine Max is.
Yeah, 130.
130.
That's the
130.
drainage. Yeah, that's the drainage discharge that I was referring to earlier for the water street system that's fronting the site.
Yeah, which would cause a reduction in float and overall flooding along Water Street.
The day-to-day,
Yeah.
Flooding with high tides.
All right. If I can, Matt, if you let me, yeah, perfect. So just real briefly, just the plan, and this is essentially the same as the prior plan in terms of the harbor management plan for consistency, but it is consistent. It provides water dependent use, boat slips, improves water quality, expands public access to the waterfront, promotes sustainable economic growth, develops an underutilized space in an environmentally sound manner, enhances public appreciation for coastal resources. I'm going to just sort of scan through. I won't sort of read you them all, but if you go through the harbor management plan sort of section by section, maintain and enhance opportunities for recreational boating and boating related uses of the harbor, which it does by supplying boat slips where none exist currently, establish and maintain opportunities for non-boating recreational use of the harbor and waterfront, which it very clearly does with that 1 acre park and boardwalk. Support truly water dependent use. We have agreed as a condition of the prior approval, which we accept will be a condition of this approval and is proposed, is that we will have a truly water dependent use on the site in addition to the boat slips, although you heard we don't yet know who that end user will definitively be. Again, supporting continued operation of non-boating water dependent facilities, which includes the park and beach areas or that little step down area, and providing public access to the harbor. Reducing impacts of flooding and erosion, which we are doing with this plan. Plan and manage of use of the harbor and waterfront, made it consistent with the capacity of the harbor and waterfront, which of course we will do, and the boat slips will be conditioned on deep approval. I guess I'll encourage and support water-based tourism activities and associate economic, recreational, and other benefits, which this is doing, and the hotel actually does that a bit better than the proposed office space. Finally, improving public access, which we're doing, new water access, which we're doing, harbor, encourage and support staging of special harbor related events and recreation opportunities for the general public, which we intend to do with that public space on the site. So again, it is consistent with your harbor management plan, and that was just a handful of the objectives that we think this helps meet. And also, because you previously found it to be consistent with the harbor management plan with office use, switching that out for a hotel, which is probably a little bit more closely aligned with the harbor management plan than the office use, although maybe it's a wash. I think it would be challenging to say that this plan is not consistent while the other plan was consistent. With that, we're happy to answer any further questions that you have, but otherwise we hope you'll make a finding of consistency and send it back to planning and zoning. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Adam. Nice presentation.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we want to have a motion on this? Do we have any discussion amongst commissioners?
My only thought on this is it still doesn't, whether it's a hotel or office space, there still isn't dry egress in a storm event, and I don't know whether that's better or worse for a hotel. We had concurred with Deep's findings on that. I forget. I was trying to remember or find the document that we had from them that expressed some reservations about the project in general. So I think I think it's consistent with the harbor management plan, but we share Deep's concerns, and I still share Deep's concerns.
Chris, that's what I was kind of getting at before, was I thought we were following DEP.
Yeah.
And
Well,
just so all commissioners are aware, the application, this change with the hotel was re-referred to Deep. So Deep will be making comments and sending those to the Planning and Zoning Commission as well.
Yeah. So I don't see anything that changes what we stated before, both positive and negative.
It's my sense as well.
I don't know what that means in terms of a motion, but
Makes a motion that we have fight that it's still consistent with the harbor management plan with the concerns that have previously been raised.
That sounds good. That sounds good.
You want to make that a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is it second?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? No, it passes. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, we have a COP notification for 14 Shorehaven Road. Mr. Hiltz, I believe.
Hello.
Hello.
Pretty small potatoes here.
How much of a budget do you have?
Anyways, good evening. Nice to see y'all. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, basically this was a previously constructed pier ramp, floating dock. There's a boat elevator currently adjacent to the existing pier. At the recommendation of the owner's marine contractor, Mr. Wetmore of GNC Marina, Mr. Romanoff has opted to place the boat elevator with a four-piling boat lift, simply because he continuously has difficulties aligning the boat on the boat elevator in such a way so as to not tweak the arms on the boat elevator and cause basically mechanical damage to the lift mechanism. So Mr. Wetmore felt that it would be prudent to go with the four-pile lift. It's easier to center it and more forgiving in terms of misalignment should it occur. So basically that's what we're here to do. As I said, pretty small potatoes, slight increase in the width from 10 feet to 17 feet. The overall depth is slightly increased, 20 feet. However, all that is basically primarily landward of the mean low water line. So it really eats into the applicant's beach more than anything else.
Has Shellfish Commission seen this as yet?
Wasn't provided to Shellfish because it's a COP, but I mean, if they have any questions or anything, happy to answer them.
John, did you have any drawings, by the way, or any aerials?
Yeah, there's drawings on.
Yeah, they're attached. They're They're
Yeah,
on the site.
they're actually, they should be part of the submittal I provided.
Yep, they're attached to the agenda as a part of the packet.
I didn't see those. Can you just pull them up?
Do you have them, John, or do you want me to?
Why don't you do it? It's, sharing is always
Sharing's caring.
difficult proposition on my end.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
So existing.
Proposed.
So John,
Yeah.
so John, you said that it's a little bit wider. Oh no. So
Yeah.
okay. Yep. So like you said, it's taken away from his beachfront, if anything.
It's his beach, really. We're keeping, these stores, he brings the boat in on a high tide, obviously, Jeff, and then, puts it up on the lift. And he's been good about that, actually. But, the thing is that, the arms are, if you don't put the boat properly in terms of like longitudinally on the lift, if you favor one arm and not the other, you end up with problems, which is what's occurred here. So, yeah.
Yeah, I actually didn't even know what a boat elevator was. I know what a boat lift was.
Now you know.
Yeah. The only thing that and because of the drawings, I see that, you're still plenty far away from the adjacent property line.
Yeah. Yeah. The adjacent pier to the west is, I think over 100 feet away, Jeff.
Yeah.
50 feet on one side and 50 on the other, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's all this is, just a change from an elevator to a lift.
Exactly. Just, same use, same intended use, just, again, a little bit more forgiving in terms of, what he can, do if things are missing, not exactly centered up and all that. So.
Questions or comments, commissioners?
I mean, it's good. I'll make a motion that this is consistent with the harbor management plan.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All set. Thank you.
All right, gentlemen. Have a good night.
You too. Take care.
Thanks, John. Marathon meeting. Moving along, the decision on consultant contract, I had a phone call immediately before the meeting, 6 o'clock from Darren Callahan in the city's legal department that Mr. Stedman had indicated he wasn't interested in signing a contract to provide services to the Shellfish Commission. So it's kind of that contract was developed, for him. So there's no need to vote on anything at this point in time.
Alan, you said that was for the Shellfish Commission?
Pardon me?
You said that was for the Shellfish Commission?
What I said was
I thought you just said that the contract is for the Shellfish Commission.
Oh, I meant Harbor Commission. In terms of the consultant contract?
Yes.
You stated it was for the Shellfish Commission, which is not for the Harbor.
Yeah, it's for the Harbor Commission.
Harbor Commission. Yeah, it was Harbor Commission. Yeah, he our attorney had worked with him for quite a while, for a month or more, but Jeff called and told him he was not interested in an agreement with the Harbor Management Commission.
So Jeff made a statement to the city of Norwalk that he's not interested in working for them or not interested in signing a contract.
I don't know what the wording was. It was all telephone call from Jeff to Darren And then Darren called me right before the meeting, said that Jeff did not want to go forward with an agreement.
Can we get some clarity to understand that a little better?
Yeah, I can. Not right this moment.
Yeah, no, it just seems odd since he's always working with us and for us. I don't know if it's a contractual issue or what.
I can't imagine that it's not unrelated to the situation with Mr. Pinto, to Dr. Pinto.
I wouldn't speculate on anything at all. I don't know. I just said a message that we really don't need to vote tonight because he's withdrawn from wanting to be voted, having that contract voted on. So we'll move on from there. But
if we can get some information about that, I'd be very interested to see what Jeff's concerns are as opposed to just.
But he told he wasn't. All I had was right before the meeting was called to order a note from Darren not to vote because Jeff had sort of withdrawn from interest.
All right, can we make an agenda point for next month to get some clarity on that and maybe hear from Mr. Stedman or Mr. Callahan or anybody else so that we can understand both sides of the concern?
Yeah, I've not. Jeff hasn't talked to me for a long time. So
if I could just chime in here, I know that Commissioner Remsen and the attorneys were putting together a proposal, which we have all seen. Amelia had sent that out. I don't know what the call was about. This is the first time I'm hearing that he called Darren and Darren Callahan, and then our attorney, and then who relayed it to Alan just before the meeting, apparently. So
7 minutes to 6, Darren called me, and he had just gotten a call from Jeff. So there's more to find out, but there's nothing to vote on tonight. That is the point of this.
Yeah, Don, thank you though for your work on that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Don. I was going to have you run this little section, except that I just had the very, very last minute news. So I'll be very brief if I can tonight. I like to welcome John. He didn't run away yet, but John, our new commissioner, is still with us. So I'm glad he's on board. I don't know if you. I believe I circulated his resume to all the commissioners, so you know his background, and I think he'll work out to be a terrific addition to the commission. Just so you know, we now have a quorum requirement of 5 to pass anything from the commission. We now have 7 members. We've lost Lori Jones' term expired and she's not re-upping. Mike Matthews' term expired and he is not re-upping for the commission. Chris White's term expired, but he has renewed. John Wilkins is new to the commission, and Dr. Pinto's term expired and he was not reappointed by the mayor.
Do we have any clarification on why?
No, I'm not.
Can we get some clarification on that?
Have we expired?
It's the mayor's prerogative. We all serve at the pleasure of the mayor.
I understand what prerogative means, but have we inquired why her prerogative is what it is?
She did not tell me what her reasoning was.
Was there any information about his background or anything shared with the mayor?
I assume he has a resume. I've never, I don't think we have a file on Jeff to look at in City Hall that I know of. But I just
you mean Dr.
John?
Pinto?
I mean John Pinto.
Which you talking about, John? I'm sorry. Back with Jeff. I'm sorry. I have no further information.
Can we get some clarity, because it's just kind of troubling to see the most senior member of the commission not be reappointed and none of us be contacted to ask if we have any thoughts points, clarity, need, unneeded, whatever the case might be. I mean, were you contacted about it, Alan? I wasn't.
I was contacted after it happened by
After.
the mayor. By the mayor, she said I've not reappointed John.
Okay, so there was no discussions beforehand.
So that is what it is, I'm afraid. I would like to have, some kind of a get together for John. I suggested we do that in a little bit warmer weather and have it on the harbor or outside somewhere and make it a outdoor event. But
Can we get some more detail on that though?
Yeah,
before we let the point go.
Yeah, and I don't think it would be out of place.
I don't
for us.
think you're going to get an answer from. I mean, it's the.
Well, can you, as the chairman, or whether that's going to occur or not, or whatever the case might be, ask for some background information on it? I mean, it's really troubling to me.
Yeah, and I don't think it's out of place for us as a group, as a commission, to voice our objection to Dr. Pinto not being reappointed to the commission. And in fact, if we need a motion to do that, I'll make that motion, that we as a commission voice our objection to Dr. Pinto not being reappointed.
I'd be happy to second that, by the way.
Okay. So we have we have a motion and a second. Do we need any discussion on this?
Well, I think that if we just contacted the mayor, new mayor, new thoughts, I don't know. But let's just contact the mayor.
We just all could contact the mayor individually. I mean, it doesn't have to be a vote of the commission.
Well, I think we need to. It's not just why. It's we object to him. We made a motion that we object to his being not
reappointed.
To being reappointed.
I mean, my concern is based on his experience level and Jeff Stedman's experience level. All of a sudden, having both of those people who've probably been involved with more harbor management advances in the last 25 years than all of the rest of the city combined, and all of a sudden in a matter of a week, be gone. And as part of the commission, I would have thought we would have been up for some type of discussion, or, if there's some other area that the commission needs to go into, will we be part of that discussion as opposed to just being told, sorry, he's not being reappointed. That's kind of troubling on my part to understand.
That is the nature of all the commissions in Norwalk. They're appointed by the mayor. We all serve at the pleasure of the mayor. So,
in order for the rest of us to continue as commissioners,
we understand that. We understand that concept, Alan. Oh, so there's a motion on the floor to formally notify the mayor that we object to Dr. Pinto not having his membership to the commission be reappointed.
That was seconded.
And that's a seconded motion on the floor.
I guess we could vote for somebody to write a letter to the mayor, right? Or you can all write your own. I don't know what the protocol should be.
I think there should be a statement from the commission.
Yeah,
I would like to know why, but to object, I mean, I guess you can object, but why? Was there a reasoning behind that? And if it's the mayor's prerogative, as was pointed out, if there's a reason, if it could be clearly stated, then that's fine. But, an objection, okay, if you want to call it an objection, go ahead. But, maybe there are reasons, maybe they're not reasons, maybe she has her own plan. I mean, I don't know. I really don't.
I don't know the answer to that. I have a meeting with the mayor in a couple of weeks. I can ask the question, but I don't know that I'll get an answer.
I think we need to understand this better so that as commissioners, we can understand what the value is here and what the direction is.
Yeah, we are a significantly less effective commission without John Pinto and Jeff Stedman. And we're significantly less effective with 6 members. Chris White has not been reappointed, by the way.
He's not.
It's not in any of the minutes of the Common Council.
It may still be under review, but again, we don't have any visibility to that either.
Yeah,
you're right.
Again,
Yeah, we
I heard that he had upped, with the mayor, but
well, perhaps
his intent is to renew.
His intent was to, yes.
But he's dependent on the mayor's decision.
The mayor's prerogative, absolutely. I mean,
yeah, it's the mayor's choice.
So getting back to this
motion on the
motion,
floor.
is it something that a letter on behalf of the commission is going to be penned, or what's the next step here?
Yeah, I would like to do it formally so we get a formal response.
As to the reasoning.
As to the reasoning, as to why.
Yeah.
That we feel we are a less, if you don't want to use the word objection, we're having a discussion on it. If you don't want to use the word objection, but, I think, Dr. Pinto, especially on the application review committee, provided invaluable experience and knowledge. And now Alan and I are the longest serving members. Maybe you are now, Jeff. I don't know. Nobody's been here more than 5 or 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, I'd be okay with reasoning a reason why. I want to hold back of objection.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, can we ask for a reason and ask for his potential reappointment?
You can ask the mayor. I don't have a problem doing that. I'm reluctant to write a letter of objection because it's the mayor's prerogative, and I'm sure there was, and I'm sure there was research. It's just the mayor. She's not just, throwing
She was
darts
on
at
the Common Council as well, so.
She's on the Common Council for years.
So it's not like she's, just walking off the street. Yeah, I'm fine with a letter of, asking for a reason. That's fine.
Right. I will draft something. I won't use
we need a vote, though.
I will state some basic facts about John and his experience and his value to the commission. I don't think his value is in question, unless people are glad that he's gone and discount his value. That his value was negative on this. So, and if that's anybody's opinion, they should state that as well. Okay.
Again, it's the mayor's prerogative. That's.
We understand what prerogative means. But somebody
so we're just having a conversation. So let's have a vote. It was, I don't want to see a word objection.
No, that's fine. That's
all right.
That's to make clear, and I concede that.
Chris, I kind of agree. I'm on board with asking the reasonings why. Fairly new on the board here, on the commission. He definitely has a lot of years here. So, what is direction, right? What are we looking to do? Where are we looking to go? So I agree with asking the question to see what they're looking to accomplish, right, and move forward.
Yes.
Right.
And again, Chris, I'd also, have a question about reappointment.
Mm-hmm.
About yeah.
Well, I mean, so we objecting is I agree that we should use the word object. I don't want to be confrontational with the new mayor, but part of what I'm saying here is I think I would like to vote that we ask the mayor to reappoint him.
Correct.
Yes.
I mean, one of the only things that I know is that John has not been contacted to be asked any questions or any, background or anything like that. He sent his reappointment letters into Mayor Rilling back before the elections, and also I forget someone else at City Hall, so that it was in well early enough. And that's the only thing is I know that he was never contacted about it, other than, thanks very much, but you're not being reappointed.
I've heard from him at all, and
What was that, Alan?
I've not heard from him. I tried to call him, got no answer.
I spoke to him, and I think it's an issue of, I mean, just as we were talking about, Chris is concerned about what the direction of the commission is.
Yeah.
If there is no value in someone who's been on since, I believe, the early 90s and been involved with more large and small scale projects than I could ever imagine, from dredging to dock management to DP to Army Corps, et cetera, that was all of a sudden just pushed to the wayside without any involvement or any discussion from any of the other commissioners. So I understand it's at the whim of the mayor, but it's also kind of a troubling to donate and volunteer this much time and effort to a program and not understand what the direction is going to be potentially in the future.
Right. He wasn't even informed. I mean, when
Yeah.
Alan informed us, I called John, and he did not even know at that point. So nobody had told John. So
It's troubling on a lot of different.
He was handled very shabbily.
I think that's being generous.
Yeah, I don't know if Matt, you said he'd send something to Mayor Rilling. I don't know.
Whoever the other contact was at City Hall that he was supposed to send his reappointment information
I
to.
think he told me he sent it to Darlene Young, who was the chair of the city council.
Okay.
Exactly. Yes.
So you want to send a letter from the commission, or do you want to send individual letters?
I want to
They're
send
already
it
signed.
From the commission.
From the commission. That's why we're voting.
Okay, and can you share that letter with us before
Yes.
it goes out?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
as well.
Are we calling a
No,
vote?
no argumentative, stuff. Let's.
Sure.
Okay.
Abstain.
You're abstaining, Alan?
Yep.
Okay. That says as. Yeah. Is there, so is our new fella here? Sorry, is it?
Yep, he's there.
Yeah.
And so it's 5-4-1
everybody.
abstention.
Yep.
Okay.
We're gonna write a letter and draft, and you guys can all look at it.
Yeah, send it to Amelia. Amelia sends it to us.
Sounds good.
Great. Thank you, Amelia.
Okay. We have an agenda. Here we go back. Okay, I'm done. Is Commissioner Bartosh online? Yes, he is.
Hey, thanks, Mr. Chairman. Just waiting for my video to come up. Long meeting. I'll keep it short. We had no new or old business on our agenda, though we did briefly discuss the shellfish restoration plan. And I know they will be presenting to us next week. So thank you for your support of it. It's something I'm confident we will support wholeheartedly. And if I might just quickly add, in addition to the extensive experience of going back to the 90s commission-wise. Dr. Pino's the only bona fide chemist that I'm aware of that's on either of our commissions. So and he knows what he's talking about with respect to biochemistry and water quality, and an invaluable resource. And frankly, I think he should retire when he wants to. That being said, eat Norwalk shellfish, and see everyone next month.
Thank you, Commissioner Bartosh. Harbor consultant, Mr. Lavallo, Harbor Master.
So Bruce left the meeting. unless Owen has anything to say, but he is working with. There's a couple of little hiccups on the online mooring front that he is working on, that he and I have been working on, that he's working out with the online mooring company. So that's being addressed. Other than that, there's nothing really going on at this time of year. So that's great.
Jeff, is the icing going to affect the moorings? Is there threat of
No,
those?
no, moorings aren't going to be affected by the ice. I did ask, well, should I jump onto my mooring and harbor safety? There you go. So can we
Jeff
move
is
on?
not online, so there you go.
Okay. So I did ask to get those winter staked. It's not going to hurt them. They are pretty resilient. I would have liked to have had those winter stakes. Edwards Marine, I asked him to do that or get a quote so that we could say, yes, go ahead and do it. I also asked him for a quote for 100 square foot dock so that we could use that to, as I watched the last meeting where Alan stated that to use it as a transient, and that would be over by just south of the ramp over at across from Overton's, or no, sorry, not Overton's. Ishota, across from Ishota. We'll see how that works out. I'll try to, shove some people on those, and see what people think about it. Be closer to the dock, a little easier for people to tie up. They're used to tying up, especially if they're in a motor boat, not a sailboat. Picking up a mooring is easy enough, so no one's complained about picking up a mooring, but it's just something that we can try and see if it's going to work. And you can fit two vessels on one instead of having separate anchoring points. So we'll see. I did reach out to Norm Edwards. He hasn't gotten back to me, so I will continue to reach out to him. And that's all I have so far.
Thank you, Jeff. Any questions for Jeff? Finance, Chris.
I have nothing to report. I'll have a full year-end wrap up for the annual meeting next week, or next month. I'm sorry.
Okay. I need to take a 2-minute break.
If anybody wants to get any water or anything.
Just go.
There you go.
An exciting first meeting.
Yeah, when you have those big organizations present and they have 7 different people talking about it, it's sort of those can be long.
Yeah, those tend to get long.
Thank heaven the Gardella one was short, John.
So sorry, John. 3 hours isn't unheard of, but it isn't typical either.
It's not normal,
right? Yeah, it could last.
But welcome. Is what it is. When are these things going to go back to in person?
I think we've asked for it a couple times, and it's just been kind of kicked back.
Much better. Oops.
There you go.
You're back? Oh, I'm back. We don't have plans and recommendations person. We don't have a newsletter and website person with us. Something is going on with the new mayor and the water quality. I haven't heard anything about that yet, but I believe they're trying to get that rejiggered, reorganized, which will be nice to have. So that's some good news. And next is the nominating committee. With the nominating committee,
Before we slide totally away from plans and recommendations, I'd heard in another committee meeting that things are moving forward with the street ends. Amelia, do you have and the Indigo report? Do we have a final report from Indigo?
My understanding is that we do, and next steps, they should be presenting the final plan to you guys as the Harbor Management Commission. They will also need to present it to Common Council, likely via the Economic Community Development Committee. So I would anticipate they would be at your February meeting with the presentation.
Okay.
And was the steering committee gone now?
I think the last steering committee meeting, they went over like the draft deliverables, and I think there were a couple changes that should be reflected in their final presentation. But I don't think there are any more steering committee meetings planned.
All right.
Very curious because I was on that steering committee and I haven't been to a meeting, heard of a meeting for months. So.
Yeah, they kind of, it's funny, they were rapid fire for a while in the spring and then it got stretched out and then it was, I think the last one was September.
I want to say it was September, yeah.
Yeah.
And I no longer got invited, I guess, because I never even knew about them. So
Amelia, are you doing something with a grant? Because Steve Kleppens had something else. I was watching a video of another meeting. And he name dropped you in relation to the Street Ends grant, but I don't know.
No, that is news to me. I will definitely ask him about that tomorrow.
He was talking about the project behind one cemetery, and there's a walkway back there, and he said something about Street Ends, and then threw out your name and Indigo, and I didn't.
Okay, I'm gonna watch that meeting recording, and I'm gonna ask him about that tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. We'll look forward to hearing from Indigo.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing a report. Nominating committee is charged with nominating 3 officers from our commissioners. The commission will vote on that slate of officers our next meeting in February. There's the option in our bylaws if there are 3 commissioners want to recommend a different candidate for any of the slate. It takes 3 of them to do that, and they would do that at the next meeting. So I think that's kind of the ground rules. So I'm turning it over to Matt for the report from the nominating committee. Are you the reporter?
I guess I have to be only because John was leading that group. And again, this is all new to me, so it's a little confusing. But the discussion was that Jeff would be acting as the new chair, with Chris as the vice chair, and then the discussion point was for secretary. So that was the last bit of information that we had received prior to understanding that Dr. Pinto, who was running. This was no longer being appointed, so that was the last I knew.
Do you have a secretary?
We didn't as of yet, so that was the point of discussion.
Don, you're on that committee as well. Were you not, or?
Yeah. I mean, we had a couple emails that went back and forth. That was it. Trying to pull them up.
I mean, the easiest thing to do might be to ask so 6 of the 7 active commissioners are here. If any of you guys are interested in being secretary, you could maybe present your interest in the nominated committee for the slate.
Anybody
Idea,
at
Amelia?
all? Anybody
Raise
at
up
all?
at once?
I'm not opposed. I just don't understand it well enough to know what I'm getting myself into. And if somebody can run me down on what that would entail, I'd be happy to think about it a little more.
Amelia's the best one to run you down on how that all works, because we do have a city secretarial paid secretary, do we not? Still that does the minutes?
So, Telesco Secretarial Services is no longer in business, but we do have someone from the mayor's office who's been doing our minutes the past few months. Courtney, he's really great. He's done a fantastic job, and I don't believe we're being charged for that because it's internal city staffing.
No, we're not being charged. So you don't have to take the position does not require someone taking notes and typing the minutes and doing any of those things. So you can talk with me, talk to Amelia. It's really a matter of just seeing that the paper flow happens.
Maybe we can connect John with Lori.
Sure.
As the secretary who's just leaving. And again, it's totally different now that there is a note taker, so you're not frantically taking notes. I think in general, I don't want to minimize it at all, but in general, it's taking their document that they provide, making sure if there's any corrections you had, then sending out to the group to see if there's any revisions, and then making any additions and presenting a final one for a vote at the next meeting.
Right.
Yeah, I'd talk with her. I just I started writing notes, and I stopped after roll call. So
yeah,
smart man.
I may not be the best man for the job, but I don't see anybody else raising their hands.
Well, there's an AI transcript, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think there is. I mean, we get the AI recording
Yeah.
at the beginning of the meeting. So there's an AI transcript. I don't know if we're just getting AI, if Courtney is just doing an AI transcript and generating meetings from those.
I was not aware of that. I thought that Courtney was actually listening to the meetings and doing the notes, but I don't know.
Maybe.
Do you know, Amelia?
I actually, now that Chris pointed out, I do see that notification that there's an AI transcript, but I agreed with all of you. I just assumed he was watching the YouTube recording and taking notes of his own.
Interesting. Well, so you can think on that, I guess, John. It's at least there's no real typing and transcribing notes and all that's been removed from it. It was just seeing the paper flow, seeing that it gets out to the commissioners prior to the next meeting. As soon as there's a draft from the secretarial service or whatever, that it gets distributed to the commissioners as to review and make comment and say that this is wrong, that's right, and then seeing that those comments get put into the document that we get the week before the meeting.
Yeah, I'd be open to talking to Lori, just get her insight on it, and then we can chat a little more.
Really? Is there any new business? Is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, good, guys. I'm so sorry it went so long. Just a lot of stuff on the plate, a lot of presentations, but I think it's all good stuff. All pretty interesting what's going on in the city. So
I picked the wrong week to eat after the meeting.
Yeah, no kidding.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Take care.